Hello and welcome. What you are looking at is Thermalright AXP90X47 copper version, and here is the story behind how the title of this video came to me. I've compared their copper and aluminum version of AXP CPU heatsinks 2 times. One was back in 2025 and the other was very recent in 2026. In fact, the recent video went live only a week before this video. Both tests revealed that their aluminum and copper versions performed exactly the same. In closing words, I refuse to say anything too spicy without any evidence. However, the two identical results conducted over a span of a year raised a question in my mind. Are these really copper? It looks like copper and weights like copper. But are they really? So, here we are. What I am about to do will destroy this heatsink. I am going to pull the pins out and cut it to see whether the fins are copper or just aluminum painted with copper color. And then I am going to do a few things on the bottom pad. I am going to scratch the hell out of it to see whether it's really copper, and then perform a very close inspection with a magnifier. Finally, I will conduct a magnet test. Before doing all those, I am just throwing out there that the bare heatsink weighted 442 grams. It's clearly a lot heavier than its aluminum counterpart. It's not easy to fake weight while retaining the same appearance. They'd need to add really heavy metal like lead into the bottom pad if they are faking it somehow. I am not sure whether you can see, but it looks like the fin I pulled out is not painted. It looks like copper to me. I am going to pull one more fin to confirm what I saw here. Additionally, the way it bends does feel like copper. I am now scratching the hell out of the bottom block. If it's just painted lead, we will see silvery material from the grooves. I am going to go a bit further by clipping the corners as well. If the bottom pad is just a painted block of some other metal, we will see a different color. So far, I am not seeing any evidence of this not being copper, but we are looking through our bare eyes. I need something more concrete. Therefore, I am going to use a digital microscope. It is from the episode 3 of 3 Things from AliExpress. I had no idea that it would come in handy for things like this. From what I could tell from numerous close inspections, this heatsink is indeed copper, although I see some impurities here and there. Regardless, it does appear to be mostly copper. What else can I do to verify that what I am looking at is indeed copper? There is another way by using strong rare earth magnets. It works because copper is diamagnetic. What that means is that if you move a magnet slightly above its surface, You should feel some kind of resistance, but it shouldn't stick to it. There aren't many diamagnetic metals, and the only metals that has a somewhat similar hue to copper that is diamagnetic is gold, but its color is far yellowish. Besides, why would they use gold here? Additionally, bronze is diamagnet since it has copper in it. However, given how easy to scratch and clip off the bottom pad, I do think it's closer to the copper than bronze. Running the magnets across the material, I did feel very subtle pull. It wants to stick but can't. I know you can't see it, but I can certainly feel the resistance. Therefore, based on what I've observed so far, I am inclined to believe that this heatsink is indeed made of copper. I am 99% certain. Besides, I haven't seen a single piece of evidence that it's not. It's hard to doubt when everything points to the same conclusion. Unfortunately, this raises yet another question. Why does it perform exactly the same as its aluminum brother? At this point, your guess is as good as mine. I don't have a single clue as to why. Before this video, I was somewhat convinced that they were using painted aluminum with lead bottom pad, and I've proven here that I was wrong. If I were to make a very loose hypothesis, I would say that the reason this copper version doesn't perform as good as it should is perhaps that the modern computer processors have surpassed thermal dissipation threshold this material and design is capable of. Yes, the TDP remains the same, but we must remember that the modern processors now overclock itself via a feature called turbo boost. Notably, it does have only 4 heat pipes. Having reviewed a lot of heatsinks in this channel, for low-profile heatsinks, I know that having 6 heat pipes is kind of mandatory with modern processors. If heat can't be transferred out of the bottom pad fast enough, it won't matter how the rest of the heatsink is designed. And this is the most important part. Heat pipes are made of copper in general. Even the aluminum version probably uses copper heat pipes but painted in zinc. In other words, for both versions they probably move the same amount of heat out of the bottom pad since their heat pipes are both copper. If my hypothesis thus far is correct, it explains why aluminum and copper versions perform the same on 2 separate occasions. Like I said a moment ago, if both versions can move about the same amount of heat out of the bottom pad and its capacity is overwhelmed by turbo boost, then the rest of the heat sinks won't perform well even if it's made of copper. In other words, this heatsink needs an update. It needs at least a pair more heat pipes. Well, whatever the case, this video marks the end of my journey with these heatsinks. I won't compare these particular heatsinks again because I feel I've done enough here. It was fun and thank you for watching.